start the broadcast. Anyways, the question is, what is your next 3-year roadmap for Chromecast? And probably a few of you are familiar with Chromecast. Can somebody tell me if they are not? All right. Just in general, Chromecast is the dongle that goes into a TV, and it's pretty much like Apple TV. So it's for streaming video into your TV. It's the difference with the Apple TV is that it's much smaller, so they don't actually, when you put this on your TV, you will sort of see all the apps, that's like Netflix and Hulu and things like that, but they are actually coming from your PC or your mobile, that serves as control. And so it has to work with a mobile device or with your PC that you use as a control to start the streaming into the TV. And the dongle, basically what it has is a Wi-Fi radio, and it connects into the local network, right? So it can be actually localized. So that's the idea of that product. So the question is, what is your next 3-year roadmap for Chromecast? And so the first thing to think about this question is, I would like to ask you, what do you think? What do you think they're asking you to do? What does it mean to ask you to do a 3-year roadmap? Can you guys tell me what are your thoughts on that? What are they asking you to tell them?
They're probably looking to see how Chromecast would do in terms of where the market is, in the market in which it exists. It hopes to grow. And they would look at a couple of things, like, for example, market share or revenue or income, profits, really. So broadly, they'd like to look at these three things and look at an objective at the end of 3 years and see where they want to be with respect to these 3 things. And of course, they probably want to look at whether it's US or worldwide.
Oh, who's that? Put your mic in mute. I think it's reverberating or something. All right. Yeah, and I think that is part of the analysis, what you just mentioned. But when I hear this, question, the roadmap, I think it's pretty down to the question is pretty explicit. Tell me a 3-year roadmap. And a roadmap basically is going to be the releases, right, of features for that product, or releases of new things for that product, right? So I think that's straightforward. I think that they ask you that. The question is, how do you get to that? How do you get to come up with ideas on what new features or what new changes you're going to make to that product? What does anybody else think?
Yeah, I too had the same thoughts, for planning a product map, mainly entails if we have any new features to be rolled out in the 3 years map, or maybe we can look at the market and decide ahead that maybe this feature is a good one to release at this time, or maybe we need to prioritize the feature, in the next 3 years, where is the industry going, and how we can make Chromecast very useful for the current market and the customers. So mainly focusing on making a list of features, prioritizing them, and then planning the 3-year roadmap, which one to release and roll out accordingly.
Yeah, and and the way I see it is that it's either you mentioned the market, both of you did. For me, it's when they're asking you about the roadmap, it's okay. Do we do features or new features of this product for the same market, or do we go to a new market, or we start going to a new market and we start targeting that new market with the same features, or doing new features for that market? So I think are both things. So then, but the question is, can you tell me what are the initiatives, the features that you're going to do in the 3 years? And that's the question. Now, how do we come up with these new product changes, right? And that's the meat of this. They're trying to see how do you think about it, right? The process, and at the end, tell me this roadmap, right? So, and a few of you mentioned this, but I think a good way to do this is to say, okay, a framework for this, what's a 3-year roadmap for Chromecast. And the first thing I would do is, as some of you two said, I would analyze several things first here. First of all, I will talk about the product, because it's about where you are today and where you are going. So you need to know where you are today, and then how things are changing in this context, to understand where you want to go, where you want your product to go. So what's the product and the problem that it's solving? Who are the users? What are their needs today? What's the competition doing? And this is just to have a benchmark, because you don't want to copy what they're doing. And definitely Google would really, is a company that, if you look at what is their, the values or the things that they believe in, is they don't believe in actually worrying about the competition. They only believe in thinking about the user first. But still, you need to understand the competition so that you don't copy them. What are the drivers, of this market? What are the trends in terms of technology in society? How are things changing that can affect this? What are Google's strengths? Because it's important to, if they have strengths in something that can be used for this product, that would be great. And once you do this analysis, you synthesize this, and you need to start with a goal. What is going to be your business goal and the product goal, right? What's going to be the goal for this product in the next 3 years? And then once you get that, then you start brainstorming about, okay, new initiatives, and by that I mean, big sort of like epic features, right? And then think about how do you prioritize them, and then come up with a release schedule. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. So do we also need to think about the why while analyzing, like why are we planning on this roadmap? So
why are we planning, or why are they asking you for the roadmap?
yeah.
Well, if you are in the business of making revenue with this product, right?
Correct.
So they're asking you, basically, if we put you in the shoes of the product manager of this product, okay, and we're asking you to make this product successful, which means make revenue.
Right. So, I mean, do we need to ask the interviewer, like, is there any specific reason, like, why are we planning to set this roadmap? Is
No.
it increase like the user engagement, or maybe like revenue?
No, because this is pretty obvious, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't ask that question.
Okay.
Any other feedback?
Hi, Melia. Also, don't we need to consider what are the dependencies and the level of effort required for every feature, that every release that we are planning, in terms of how the Chromecast would be integrated with something like, say, Google Home, for example. So will that get into a consideration while we are creating the roadmap?
I think that would be part of your final analysis.
Okay.
Right? And that would be very detailed, right? But remember, this question that they ask you, probably you need to answer it in like 15 minutes.
Got it. Okay.
So you need to have a very like straightforward approach on how to go to the meat, okay? And the meat is going to be this: initiatives, okay? There may be dependencies at that point, right?
Yeah.
And that, in the releases, you say, okay, here are dependencies, so I need to do this before that, right?
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
And also, while we are kind of building out the new features over this 3-year period, we would want to look at some analytics that would help us guide our product development and release and towards our objective.
Yeah, I think Kaushik, remember that they may ask you that if they want to go into details, right?
Okay.
But when you are in an interview with Google, they're trying to see if you have raw power of creativity. Okay, so probably going into process, in like details of processes, they might not, be interested in that. They want to see, hey, can you think about new things to do for this product that is going to increase revenue, incredibly, or it's going to open a new market, or blah blah blah, right? So the part of analytics and stuff like that to me is like process. That to me is like more detailed stuff that they're probably not interested in.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So let's go to the meat of this, right? Real quickly, and you need to do this analysis real quickly. Okay, you don't want to stay here for too long. Okay? So, you say, okay, so in this question, what am I? The way I think the way I think about thinking about the roadmap of the product is to first analyze where we are today. And by that I think, I need to understand exactly. First of all, I want to be on the same page with what the product does, what the problem solves, who are the users, what's the competition doing, what is driving this market, to see if, take that into consideration, what are the trends in technologies, what are the strengths of the companies, and having analyzed that, then I can really have a more idea of what should be the goal. Should we enter a new market? Should we consider the same market? Should we put the thing the product to a different use, etc. Right? But first, I need to know where we are today and what are things that are happening in the market. And then once I set the goal, we're going to brainstorm on ideas on what to do next with Chromecast. And we prioritize and finally, come up with a schedule of how to release these features that are part of the initiatives. That makes sense?
Sure.
Okay. So let's talk quickly about the product. So the product, is basically, okay, so I will just quickly say, it's a dongle that, transmits or receives. It's a dongle that, with Wi-Fi, that transmits or streams video to any TV that has, that port HDMI. Not only it transmits video to any TV from the internet, from the network, as well as the browser, Chrome browser. One thing, if you don't know the product, if you don't know how the product works, my recommendation is to say, hey, I'm not familiar with this product, but I'm familiar with other Google products like this. I can give an example. Can I actually talk about that? Can I talk about that instead? Because if you don't know how the product works or what it is, then it's really to your detriment to continue. It's not a good idea. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is what the product does, right? And what problem does it solve? It solves the problem of, streaming it solves the problem of enabling people to watch, their video on any TV, that it's not that is not connected to the internet, right? And let's talk about now who are the users. So who do you think the users are?
So people who do not have a smart TV that would actually get on the internet by itself.
Okay.
So that's and the TV, of course, would have an HDMI port, which would let the dongle connect to it.
Okay. Yes. Also, people that don't have cable, are usually called cord cutters.
Yes. So there's no other form of no other input to the TV that so in the form of as you said, cable. So it's just the internet connection to your portable device that you want to project onto your TV that's not connected to the internet.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So it's basically people that they don't have cables, and they want to connect, see their subscription. They're subscribed to Hulu or Netflix, and they want to see it on the big screen, right? So cord cutters, and they want to see this. Want to see, video on big screen. That's mostly this type of users. Okay. So
and also the user would have to have Chrome installed on the device, on the portable device.
They will have to have Chrome installed. Yeah, but let's talk more about the users as people. And okay, that's what you're saying is a requirement.
Okay.
So let's talk about people as why are they why do they buy this thing, right? So they don't have cable, they have a TV that is connected to the internet, and they're mostly watching digital videos, on their laptops or devices and stuff. But when they're at home, they want to see it on the big screen. Right? So those are the type of users, right? What's the competition?
The Fire Stick. Amazon Fire Stick.
Amazon Fire Stick.
Yeah, Amazon. It's called Fire, right? Fire something.
Fire Stick.
Fire Stick. Okay, and we also have Apple TV, of course. Roku.
And smart TVs on their own too.
And smart TVs. Okay, so at the high level, right, these guys are very similar, right? They're not too much differentiation between all these competitors. That's my impression, okay? Not much differentiation, really. I think that in all, whoever is an Apple TV, an Apple sort of like user probably has an Apple TV, right? Roku seems to be very popular too. But all in all, I think that there's not much different between them in terms of the features. So,
is it a good time to talk about the price differentials between these products, where they are?
Yeah, but very briefly, I think also the price differential is not well. With Apple TV has come down, but I think it's maybe $90 or so. With Chrome, what it does because it doesn't Chrome the Chromecast, it's a very small dongle and basically doesn't have the hardware to display the apps on the TV. You actually have to use your computer to display the apps on the TV. Whereas with Apple TV, it actually has the hardware and the memory to actually display the apps, and they get updated, right, all the time, as well as it also comes with a control. So the difference in price is because of that, right? But the experience itself is not that different. All the content is mostly the same for these devices, right, in terms of the apps. So you can definitely mention that price differential, right? From that perspective, you can say, hey, Chromecast, if people don't care about the control, right, or using their mobile device as a control, then Chromecast sort of has the upper hand. But let's move quickly on this. Let's talk about drivers. Okay. So what is driving people to buy these devices? What do you think? I'm going to put a few here, okay?
It's the simplicity of the device. You don't have to buy an expensive smart TV.
Uh-huh.
And you don't have to be part of the Apple ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And the user is most likely going to be using a Kindle device, which is cheaper than an iPad.
Excuse me, what do you say?
The device, for example, would most likely be a Kindle as opposed to an iPad. So the Kindle is cheaper than an iPad. So users would gravitate more towards this as opposed to the iPad.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about what is driving the buy of these devices. What is driving people to buy these devices in general? Oh. Not just Chromecast, okay? So you have to see it in terms of market drivers, right? So, for example, people spend more time watching digital video, digital video on the internet, right? So they're used to that. As I said, cord cutting, which means you don't have to spend money on cable, which is really expensive, right? And basically here, people also want to customize what they see, right? Maybe let's put that here. For example,
wouldn't ease of integration with smartphones be a driver?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't ease of integration with smartphone be one of the drivers here? Because you could easily integrate with smartphone or your laptop. You could easily integrate Chromecast functionality with either a smartphone or a laptop, which everyone has today. So wouldn't that be one of the drivers?
It's a chicken and the egg problem. I think that's why they did the integration, right? So that people would buy Chromecast because they want to see what they're seeing on their mobile on the TV, right?
Okay.
So, but one of the things is that people they want to choose, and I think this is part of cord cutting. Choose your own video provider, right? Video or media or content provider. So instead of paying $120 for cable, you pay $7 to Netflix, right? Or $10 to Hulu, right? And you watch what you want to watch. Other things is, you have all these digital TV providers. So now you can also watch, real-time TV. So all these things are driving people to buy these devices, right? So, and the reason why this is important to see is because we need to think what else could be in the future driving people to drive these devices besides this. Okay, so is there a trend, right? All right. So let's talk about trends. Technology. Trends in technology. What is changing? What's new?
So it's movement away from cable, conventional cable. So it's all over the internet.
Yep.
Entertainment is over the internet. So it's
That actually could be a driver here instead of a trend. So what are you seeing? You are seeing a trend in AI, machine learning, right? A lot being used in everything. What else? VR, right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So VR, you know, and we have, you know, how's machine learning is being used, and I want to put here for personalization a lot. You know, an intelligent assistant. VR. VR is using education, right? A lot, and you know, entertainment, education, games. Then you have also like IoT, right? IoT, all things are connected. You have home automation. We can count also on robots. And I'm just going to leave it there. But I think that the major things are AI, VR, IoT. Okay, so now let's talk about Google's strengths. They have many strengths that are related, that can help this business, right?
Search,
Search,
AI,
ML,
A lot of content, data.
content. We put here YouTube, right?
yes.
They have, you know, cross-platform, right? Single devices, single forms.
Pixel
Yeah.
as a smartphone.
Smartphone, yeah, that will go here. Phones, computers, laptops, everything. They have incredible cloud computing. So you can process anything that it's difficult, etc. They have, remember, driverless software.
Voice recognition devices. Like
Voice recognition. All those things. Okay, so just keep this in mind, okay? So after we have seen all this, right? And we look at, and I told you, hey, Google doesn't like to follow the competition. They want to like leapfrog, right? And they don't want to be incremental either, right? So we have a product that basically it's been around for a while, you know, so I would say since 2013 maybe, or even less, earlier than that. And there's a lot of competition in this market already. The differentiation between them is getting closer and closer and closer, all right? The drivers, okay, the drivers, people are still want to be driven to get these devices, you know, to watch video and stuff on their TVs, right? But, you know, the question is, all right, is there, are we going to do something incremental, for this market, for people to keep on watching videos, on their TVs in the next 3 years? If I were giving this interview, I would say no. All right, I would say let's think about something not completely different, but different, that perhaps the competition's not in it yet, right? And see, that probably is going to mean start thinking about a new market, right? Or the same market, but try to see different uses for this device. And what I would think is that when I'm going to start brainstorming about initiatives, I need to keep this into account, like the technologies that Google is really strong in, and the trends, right? The trends that in technology, what is the technology that is being embedded in absolutely everything. What are your thoughts on this?
So Google's big strength, since we're talking videos as of now, is YouTube and its recommendation engine.
Mm-hmm.
So what they could do with that amount of the number of videos that they have in YouTube is personalize it to the user, the individual user.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that the user is, say, for example, a student, or it could be an entire classroom. So we can talk about education,
Mm-hmm.
where it could be in a classroom and you're streaming content right onto a huge TV in a classroom, and it could be a teacherless classroom, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And teacherless, by that I mean that there isn't exactly a human being present in the classroom, but of course there is going to be interaction as well. So that's one kind of personalization I can think of. It could be one individual or a group of individuals who have similar needs or tastes.
Okay, yeah, I like the approach of thinking in terms of industries. I think that's a good one. So let's follow that a little bit, but let's put a little bit more structure in this. I need to take a photo of this. Hold on a minute, because I'm gonna remove some stuff. All right, let's keep this. Let's keep the framework here, so that everyone knows what we need to do.
Hey, Malina, would it be good, like, I'm just trying to understand from a timing perspective, right? The trends and the strengths that you were talking about on the right-hand side, do you think we can bind those initiatives or the strengths and the trends in the initiative section, just to be cognizant of the time that we have in the interview?
Yeah, I think that if you can keep the strengths in your mind and do that, certainly.
Okay.
I would agree with you on that.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay? So I think that we should set the goal, right, from the start. And I think, the goal to me is to not be incremental, but I would say to expand. I would say I would like to expand to new markets. Okay. New markets where Google has advantages. Okay. And these advantages can be market-wise, like they know the market, and technology. Those are always key when you look at where you want to enter into a market. Do you know the market, and do you have the capabilities in terms of the technologies to enter that market? Of course, you look at the competition too, but these are two key things. Okay, so I think to me, if I were to look at what to do with Chromecast, it would be, okay, can we expand this product to a new market? And that means maybe use it for a different type of application, or maybe a new industry, and take advantages of where Google has its strengths, right? And now I'm going to start like brainstorming. Okay, so let's brainstorm about initiative use cases. Okay. And I want to keep in mind the things that this product does. Okay, to keep in mind what can we innovate in. This thing displays, the Chromecast displays some, displays video onto something, right? Onto TV, but could be something else. Doesn't have to be a TV, And then, the content. There's some content that it displays. It doesn't have to be just movies or anything like that. It can be something else. And also we have to keep in mind, that it does this with Wi-Fi. I just wanna think in terms of what are the components of this thing, but then go straight into the industries, okay, where we can expand this, to new markets, new industries. So I think, Ashik, you were mentioning the education market, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's list a few of these markets here. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna just list the ones that seem to me interesting. Home. It could be air travel, medical, hotel or hospitality, education.
When I was thinking education, I was also thinking of foreign markets where but education hasn't reached the people to the extent that it has in the US. So
I see. Okay.
It could be an underprivileged region of the world where it's hard for people to get educated, and Google can step in and help kids and teachers cast their videos on a big screen.
Okay, we'll touch upon that.
Yes, so that's what I had in mind in terms of markets as well. So
gotcha. So there's also retail, okay, and I was thinking also there could be also I didn't know what to call it, but it could be security and work environment. So there are several of these industries, and I was thinking, okay, we can go through each of them and start thinking about use cases, okay, that give us some idea. The other thing that I wanted to put here in big letters is to think of there is a way to be more creative with this thing by thinking about Scamper. And I don't know how many of you know about this, of this technique. Do you know about Scamper?
No, not me.
It's a brainstorming technique, and what it stands for is when you have, for example, we're going to look at a product like Chromecast, and we're going to start thinking, okay, what can be substituted, okay, in this product? Substituted. Can you combine this product with something else? Can you add something to it? Can you modify it or use it with multiple of these things? Can you put it to another use? Can you eliminate something? And the most interesting one is, can you reverse how this is used? Okay, so when we go through these use cases, think about this work and how you can change something in Chromecast, okay, that would make something possible. So if we go through let's go through home. All right, let's go through use cases and start with home use cases, okay? So when I'm thinking of home and I'm thinking of, Google is in home automation, right? So what can we use from that? And I was thinking, okay, one idea is have security cameras stream to the TV, okay, when they detect events. So it's sort of like an IoT type of use. So streaming from cameras to TV. And this is sort of like the security type of application. And so let's start brainstorming about this. And what other things can you think in the home where you can use Chromecast for a different use?
So I was thinking about Chromecast would be helpful if I have like this smart Samsung TV, smart Samsung refrigerator, which has like a screen. It has a big screen on the front where you can actually play apps and all. So if we have this Chromecast that can help me play the apps like Netflix and all on the Samsung smart fridge, it would be a very great thing if I could do that. Like I can watch things while I'm cooking.
I see. So maybe it would be a Chromecast for what you call the refrigerator. That's a kitchen.
Yeah, I think it's Samsung smart fridge. I'm not sure what is it.
Yeah, but that's an appliance.
Yeah, kitchen appliance. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
One great thing would be if we can do multiplayer gaming using Chromecast.
How do you envision that being displayed?
Considering the fact that there are two people sitting on a couch in a living room and playing the same game, and if you're playing multiplayer rather than playing it online, you can see your screens casted on the TV like in half and half.
Half and half. Okay.
Yeah.
Multiplayer game.
And
Okay.
I was thinking of personalized TV listings. Say, for example, your device will cast your favorite shows or whatever you watch, say on Tuesday, and it'll know you in terms of studying your user behavior, and the machine learning algorithm will train itself on your behavior, and then basically predict what you would watch on a particular day at a particular time, and then automatically cast that on TV.
I see.
So
automatically cast that.
You just have to turn on your TV and have your device in the vicinity, and you watch your show that you watch, say 7 p.m. on Tuesday, and that you don't have cable, but that is internet enabled. So you turn it on and you start seeing it at 7 p.m. So whatever that show is, or it could be football on Sunday.
Okay. All right, but okay. Any objections from anybody else out there on this? So the question that I would have is like, so today, do you need the Chromecast to do this personalization thing, or in fact, when you are watching something, right? When you are watching, you are basically projecting. I mean, it's the streaming that goes from the app into the TV, right? So that engine that you're talking about for personalizing your taste can be done in the cloud, right? That can be done in the cloud. So is there something that needs to be changed? Because from what I'm hearing, the only change that will happen here is if you happen to be in the room where the TV is, to automatically turn on the TV and stream. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's put that here. Automatic streaming TV of favorite show. Okay. All right, so let's move out of home because that seems to me incremental stuff. A lot of this. Okay, so let's go into, for example, let's go into medical. One thought that I had was like, you know, in medical procedures, sometimes they put cameras inside your body in order to see, you know, things. So maybe, you know, streaming, you know, cameras that work with Chromecast, cameras plus Chromecast to stream video, you know, during surgery or something. Or just whatever you're testing on the patient. Any other things for medical? We're not doctors, so that's kind of hard to tell, right? It is.
Now I was thinking of enabling interactivity.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the patient and doctor need not be in the same place,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing it remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you are the doctor is. Suppose you're doing an endoscopy where you insert a camera into someone's stomach,
Mm-hmm.
and it's cast to a doctor that's not in the city, maybe in a different country too. And then he should be able to sort of drive the camera in terms of its movements from where he is.
Mm.
Be cast back on where he is actually.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you're saying cast to remote machine
Yes.
during procedure. Okay. Okay. Cool. Let's go into air travel. So I don't know if you guys, you'll probably travel in these airplanes where now they have, you know, the screens on every seat, right? So I was thinking, well, maybe you want to display your own movies on that screen, right? So Chromecast to display your videos on the airplane.
One thing I don't like about the screens on airplanes is the ergonomics part of it.
Yeah, right.
Where suppose you're like traveling for like 10 hours and your neck is hurting you bad. So you have to sort of first be even awake and then be in a certain position to watch it. So Google Glass can be used where you really don't have to sort of be in a certain position to watch that screen. It can be, you can just watch it on your glass itself. It can be just augmented onto your, on the lens of your glass.
Yeah, but we're trying to sell Chromecast.
True, but I'm just saying the two can be integrated, right?
Oh, you're talking about integrating Google Glass with Chromecast.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So suppose you're on a plane and you're wearing Google Glass and you want to watch your favorite movie on your glass. So it's almost like virtual reality. You're watching something in front of you. You have to wear those glasses and the movie will play in front of you.
How's the video being sent to the glass? From where?
It can be cached on your device. So whatever you can have whatever you want to have on your device, and that can be.
Okay, so Chromecast. Displays on Google Glass.
Yes.
Okay. But you have to connect it to your phone, right?
Or whatever device that suppose you have your Kindle with you, or your Google the tablet with you.
Yeah.
And it has your 100 favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can cast those movies to Google Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just throw your head back to your favorite position. You really don't have to look at a certain screen. So,
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But you're basically getting rid of Chromecast, or you're saying that the Google Glass should have
a miniaturized dongle.
Yeah.
That can pick it up from your tablet.
Okay. The dongle. Okay. All right.
One more application of air travel would be people generally read books, so Chromecast could display ebooks or any or similar content onto the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will put this here, right? Videos.
Yeah.
Oops. Yep. Cool. Let's go to hotels. And I think this is possible already. People are bringing their Chromecast to hotels and they're connecting them. So I don't know how original it is, but I put this here just to have it, which is, Chromecast fast connectivity, to hotel network. That's incremental. I don't think that's interesting.
I was thinking of, say, using it with autonomous cars where you're not driving, but you want to watch.
Mm-hmm. I
So-
think cars. Yeah, right. It's a good idea.
Uh,
So maybe I put that under. Yeah, let's put that here. Let's put this in cars, maybe.
Given that autonomous car isn't really in production, should it be part of like a 3-year roadmap?
I'm sorry.
Given that autonomous cars still aren't like in mainstream use, should this be a part of our 3-year roadmap?
Yeah, I think that driverless cars are going to be here definitely in 2020.
Okay.
Display movie.
So my point is, even if it's not entirely driverless, so that's why I use the word autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still you could still drive. So I think we are closer to that than to completely driverless cars. So in any case, that I can see that happening in 3 years.
All right, let's talk about classrooms, like education. So this is where, where I was thinking in terms of Scamper, like, we are displaying things on the TV, but in a classroom, what about, displaying let's say that in a classroom they're using a huge TV, but people in the back cannot see. So why not display what the teacher or the speaker is showing on the TV back to the students on their machines? So that's when I use reverse, right? You see, so display TV screen to multiple computer screens on students. Any other thoughts? I have 3 more. So using M from Scamper for multiple, instead of displaying one image, display multiple multiple TV screens. So display multiple images. No, excuse me. Display various images or the same image on multiple screens. And that could be the case, in a classroom perhaps that is big. And you have the TVs like spread in the classroom for people to see. They could see them. I mean, you can imagine also in a disco. This could be used in a disco too, right? Like people are dancing and sometimes they have all these displays.
Yes, I was thinking of something different where people are watching, say, a sporting event in a huge park. And say, for example, the World Cup, a lot of us can't go to Russia, so we can be here in the US and watch what we want to watch with like 1,000 other people in a big park, and it's projected onto a huge screen with Chromecast.
Project, sports, event, multiple screens.
Similar thing can go for even online video games, which has become a huge market now. Streaming of online video game content.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Casting of video games to whichever application you want.
Yeah, but that's already possible, right? Because you can display anything from your browser or from an application right into the TV. That's what Chromecast does. The fact that it's a different content doesn't matter, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Also, some other things that I put here is if you're displaying something on a display that is touchable, make whatever is in it editable, when you touch it. So the idea would be to save the edits on the screen. Save edits and share with students. In the classroom. All right. I also put here that the lectures could be recorded. And maybe, Chromecast can record the lectures and then save it in the cloud. All right, and then there are probably other more stuff here to do, but I'm not sure that we have thought really, really out of the box. Can we think of something really, really different?
One thing is,
right.
when we drive on the highway, there's a lot of advertising billboards. So we don't always see what it's basically not personalized. It's for everyone. So my point is, like when you're driving down a highway, how about casting your favorite, what you're likely to sort of click through onto your billboards, onto the billboard.
Click through on, what do you mean by that?
Which means that, say, this is like, for example, you are driving on the 101 and you like something like the NBA, for example. And this can be done only with, say, you need to have, I'm again going back to Google Glass, because you want to see something that's personalized to you on a huge billboard. And you wear your glasses and it's cast onto that huge billboard. So which means that, you're wearing your glass and you're looking at a huge billboard and you're seeing what you want to see. And it's you're carrying your device with you. And it's going to get cast on that billboard. That's your big screen that you have. And it's personalized just to you.
The problem that I see with that is business-wise. Okay, so marketers usually don't want to imagine if you can change the billboard that they pay millions of dollars. Okay, because that they know the huge market segment that is going through the highway, because they have done they know who drives those cars through the highway, where they live, and they know the majority of people, how much money they make and stuff like that. If you personalize something on a big billboard that was meant to be viewed by a huge millions of people, I think that sort of like, and that's the objective of marketing in a billboard.
But yes, but you are watching that only through Google Glass. You are not doing it with your naked eyes. So which means that it's personalized to you without actually affecting anyone else, is what I mean. You're getting a driving experience by watching a billboard. You're wearing your glass, Google Glass, and you see what you're most likely to like, is what I'm trying to say.
Eat on the glass?
Yes. You're driving down the highway, you have your glass on, you turn your neck to watch something on the billboard, and you see what you like.
And why would somebody wear the eyeglass on driving?
Well, because you needn't even be driving. So that's one way to popularize Google Glass. You're helping both products.
Yeah, it seems to me that you're looking for, I don't know, that you're coming with an idea to make the company, generate revenue with Google Glass and the ads. But the problem is that, why would anybody do that? Why would people want to do that? Already Google Glass has been a major failure with users, not in the industry, not for enterprises or for industrial applications, but definitely for regular users. So my question would be, why would you think that anybody would like to do that? Wear these eyeglasses? It's just, I would ask you to tell me why, if it has been proven that people don't want to use them.
This is an advantage that they can derive out of it. So this is an advantage they can derive out of it, because with the functionality that it has now, it's probably not selling well. But if you add functionality like this, it will probably sell better, is what I'm saying.
But why would I want to see an advertisement on the eyeglass when I'm driving?
You don't have to do, because it gets your attention. You don't have to go to it; it comes to you. That's the idea of billboards. Is it's huge. It gets your attention while you're driving.
No, I can see the appeal for the advertiser, but I don't see why somebody driving a car would like to be targeted with ads wearing the eyeglass. And why would they wear the eyeglass in the first place? Unless it serves them to drive better. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody has something to say about that? All right. So Kaushik, I just don't, I don't know. I think we should put it to a vote, but I just don't see why. Why would anybody do that? And how will this sell Chromecast? I think you're saying that then, how would Chromecast sell for this?
Again, it's almost like a virtual reality experience that I'm giving the user. It's the driving experience that you retain, and you see something on the big screen, and you're casting something that you're most likely to like.
I understand, but how will this help sell Chromecast?
Your Chromecast, your thing knows.
Sorry, I can hear you, Kaushik.
I probably need to think about how I can explain this better, but this is all I have for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so I think, to summarize this, then at the end we have all these use cases. And what I would do, is to pick, okay, so now we have to pick initiatives, right, that are going to be better for the business to sell these products and that are needed, right? So I would look for markets, that are big and use cases that are going to be needed as well as where Google has more strength. And in terms of medical, I probably would say no, because Google doesn't have strengths in the medical area. They don't know that market, right? Air travel, I would say, maybe, but air travel also, you will have to be able to work with the airlines, have partnerships. Google doesn't have that kind of relationships, I don't think, in the travel industry. In terms of the hotels, this is an easy thing. I think people already use Chromecast, so I don't think that's an issue. In terms of cars, yeah, that's a good one. Make Chromecast available there. And like you can sell the dongle to car services, autonomous services. And for classrooms and sports, I think the biggest opportunity here, because Google already has applications in education, like the Google Suite for Education. And, for sports also, that's interesting. In fact, I put retail here, and I haven't talked about it, but I discovered that, in fact, Google is using Chromecast in retail for digital signage. So they sell it to, malls, big malls, or, shops, big shops, or airports, where they display different advertisements on the big displays. And so they attach basically Chromecast, the technology, to it, right? And they're able to change the display. So, so I think that I would probably choose this classroom and sports space in order to to create new features for Chromecast to target this market. And then the next step would be, okay, so now let's say that here are like 4 initiatives or so. You need to prioritize those initiatives based on the ones, or what is going to be your criteria, right, for prioritizing. Do you guys have any questions on that? Very quiet today. All right. So in this case, we have the display of the TV screens to multiple computer screens, same image on multiple screens, project sports on multiple screens. That's a good one. And these are like the save the screen. I don't think that in general these are particularly innovative. I think that we need to think deeper on that. But those are the initiatives, and then I will prioritizing based on the the feasibility of doing them, and also what's the potential to for market growth for selling these devices there. In terms of usage, what's going to be the use cases that's going to be more frequent.
So when we prioritize out of this, I think it looks to me like the classroom/sports part of it can lend itself to a few epics that we can prioritize.
Yes, yeah, definitely. If it's in 3 years, right, you can do one feature probably per year, right? 1 or 2 per year. I think that the sports idea is actually very interesting, the sports area, and I think that's worth exploring a little bit more, right?
Right. And it's basically the live experience that people get while watching sports that they can't really get to physically. And I guess that's where the biggest advantage, or the biggest benefit that it provides to the user, or in this case, many users at the same time.
Yeah, and there's probably something about that experience being in the arena and seeing several screens that would be worth exploring, perhaps in a different meeting. But I think there's something there, and there's probably more features that can be worked out, right, with Chromecast. But what I wanted to be the takeaway of this is when you're in the situation, the way to think about this problem and how to actually answer this question. And as I said, the meat of this question is really this: the initiatives. To be really creative in terms of, okay, can I come up with something different that Chromecast can do to target a market that can be quite profitable, right? And my gut feeling tells me that there's a lot to do in the sports area, right? Because it's a massive market, right? And people love to watch this on the screen all the time, right? But we don't have enough time. But I think that if you push yourself, take an hour or half an hour and try to think, okay, I'm in the stadium on a sports event or whatever, and there's this event being broadcast and stuff like that. What are the things that can be done with this device, or can we add something to this Chromecast device to experience something new, right?
Yes.
And it's worth. I really challenge you to explore this. Say to yourself, hey, let's reverse the experience. What does that mean, right? Like, I'm not projecting something on the screen. The projection is coming to me. What does that mean, right? And I think that can come. It basically allows you to change the context, right, in which you are viewing something. And I think that's where the creativity comes. Don't think linearly. Change, put everything upside down, and start thinking of a new idea, right? Unfortunately, we didn't have time, but I would have loved to do that. But for that, we really need to come up with ideas, boom, 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 and just be very, very creative.
Actually, in an interview settings, as you said, it takes like 15 minutes to answer this question. So, I mean, the way it would happen likely would be that the interviewer asks this question, say on the phone, for example.
Yeah.
And you say, give me a minute and let me brainstorm. And then I guess that's how it progresses.
Yeah, and I think when that happens, try to go straight to here. Okay, look, you can say quickly, okay, Chromecast is this product that projects things on the display, and I think there's a lot of competition in that space. Let's think of something new. Okay, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity in perhaps other industries where people watch a lot of videos. For example, sports. Okay, so in your head you start thinking about, okay, which industries, which markets view a lot of video, right?
Right.
And then you say, okay, so let me think about sports. So in sports, people are watching, maybe they're on the soccer field, there are different screens, how about projected on different fields? Maybe people want to actually watch also on their phones what's happening. Maybe the projector can project on the person's phone. Or, maybe, we want to display live scoring, right, on the screen. That would be another thing. You just go from idea to idea to idea, right? But you have to go quickly to this and then start using Scamper right away. How can I reverse things, right? Or what is it that I would like to see that I won't be able to see, combining the game, but at the same time seeing real life feedback from people or things like that, right?
Right. And so at the end of those 15 minutes, where would the interviewer expect you to be?
Right. So you say 3, 4, 5 ideas, right?
Yes.
And then you say, you know what, of these 5 ideas, I'm going to start with this one first because I think it's the most important for the experience, for the user, for example, right?
Okay.
And then with this one, and then with this one, and then with this one, okay? Maybe, and then so you have to always put the user into account, right? First and foremost, right? So you say, okay, I think that this initiative is like the most important for the user experience. So it's going to be first, second, this, third, that. In terms of like, and maybe you also find something that uses some part of the ecosystem that Google has. Okay, maybe machine learning. Okay, and therefore you're going to prioritize that too, right? So for example, for sports, right? Maybe there's an algorithm that is happening in the background to say, the number of best passes, or there's a lot of analytics that goes, like for example in baseball too, right? The speed of this or whatever. And maybe you say, that's the one thing that I'm going to prioritize because it's really a great experience and Google has all the technology to do that. And I would release it in this timeline. What they really want to see is whether you quickly whether you have a way to think about what to do next for the product, and then whether you're creative, right? And whether you can prioritize. That's it.
Okay.
But go quickly here, right?
Yeah, and also there's going to be quite a bit of interviewer pushback.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of pushback. So
okay.
In real life, it's going to be like you're going to say something and they're going to tell you why. Okay, and you say something and they say, well, why? And if they're not satisfied, they're going to keep on saying why and why and why. Right? So don't get nervous. Just make sure that in your logic, you understood why you thought that way, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, this is all for now. But
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yep, thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Melina.
Bye.
Hey, Melina, how are you?
Hey, Jitesh, how are you?
I'm doing great.